Hello everyone, I'm JG and welcome back to MusicForever, where today we're reviewing the newest EP from Autopsy, Puncturing the Grotesque. Alright folks, today we're talking about this new EP from one of my favorite bands in death metal, Autopsy. I just really, enjoy this band a good amount, so of course I was looking forward to this new EP from them. A little bit disappointed that it's not a full-length project, but I think for what this EP manages to do in its runtime, it's a pretty acceptable project, to say the least. I think overall this is a very solid EP. One thing just that I immediately noticed when listening to this thing is that, it has a very cohesive feel to it. Like, I love how on this EP the tracks just sort of bleed into, the next track running throughout this. And, not all albums or EPs can really pull that off. Sometimes it makes, albums and EPs sound a bit too samey. But in the case of this EP, I think it manages to work just with, the sound that Autopsy has going for them. This, death metal with lots of slower, doomier parts thrown in there as well. I love how tracks just sort of, bleed into the next pretty much. And it just makes for a very cohesive EP all the way through. Like I said before, I was initially a bit disappointed this wasn't a full-length project going into it. However, listening to this thing, it's just not just a random collection of, just some tracks that they happen to have and they just released it as an EP or anything like that. It feels, like its own little cohesive project. Not to say that this is, the first time a band has ever done that or anything like that. And in fact, the last EP that this band put out back in 2015, I believe, was also pretty good from what I remember. But this one here, I think I like this one a bit more than the last one. I just really like the very cohesive feel that this one has going for it. The album starts off with a track, Death of Dehumanization, which is kind of this slow kind of build-up track. There's really not all too much that goes on here in the song, but it really just kind of sets the mood for the rest of the project. And it's not too long, so it manages to work. I feel like if they had extended this track any longer, I don't think it would have worked quite as well. It would have dragged on a bit too long. But they have it, just at the right sort of time, runtime really, for it to work in the context of this project. That is before it moves into the title track, which is the very nice, very solid death metal track. My favorite track on this entire project is The Sick Get Sicker. I just really love everything that this track has going for it. I love how it starts off a bit more aggressive and just, a bit more forward-thinking before moving into these slower, more atmospheric parts that you'd really expect from Autopsy. But this track here is just a very exceptional, Autopsy track. And for some reason, the slower parts of this track, the guitar parts, remind me a lot of Doom, the video game. Just a lot of the music from that game for some reason. I don't know why, but it does remind me of that. And considering I really like Doom, it kind of makes me like this track even more. But even without that, this track is really solid. If you want to check out at least one song from this EP, just to see if it's worth checking out, definitely check out this song because I think it's the most solid cut on this entire project. The Bloodbath cover that closes this project out moves in a bit of a different direction compared to the rest of the EP, which sound I already described earlier. This track, on the other hand, doesn't really flow with the rest of the other tracks and has a bit more of a straightforward, just aggressive feel to it. And, I do kind of, to a degree, like how it breaks up the pace of what was coming before, because some of the tracks before this one, kind of in between some of the earliest ones in the track listing and this one, I do feel like started to sound a bit too similar at times, or at least we're maybe going to be heading in that direction a bit more had this last track followed with a very similar sound. But this track comes in and breaks things up a bit more, and it's just a very fun outro for this EP. It's the last thing you hear on this project, of course, given that it's the closing track, and it's just a very fun, aggressive feel to it that I can really get behind. Even if it does kind of stand out as not really sounding all too much like the rest of this EP, I can kind of get away with it in the regard that it manages to change things up and make it interesting while, sounding fun, which, is fun. It's good. So overall, I'd say that this EP is a pretty solid one. Like I said, there's a lot of very good material on here. I love the overall sound that this project has going for it. I love the flow of this EP. You have tracks like The Sick Get Sicker, which is just a fantastic cut in my opinion. And it's overall, just a really solid EP. The only probably the biggest complaint I have about it is I wish there was more of it overall. Like I said, going into this, I kind of wish that it was a full-length project, and I still kind of wish it was, because had they decided to go for, you know, something with this much kind of, I guess, focus, like, you know, with how the tracks kind of bleed into each other and just the overall atmosphere of this project, had they decided to do that, but like for a full-length project, I feel like it would have been really awesome, in my opinion. That's maybe my only complaint, and that's of course probably one of the best complaints I could have about a project, because that just means, you know, what we were getting here is pretty good. So yeah, overall this is a very solid EP in my opinion. If you like death metal music, if you like Autopsy, you should definitely check this thing out, because you're going to enjoy it a fair bit, at least in my opinion. And if you're not going to check out the entire thing, if you need to check out at least one track, make sure it's The Sick Get Sicker, because like I said, that's a great cut. And if you enjoyed this review, make sure you leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on other future album reviews, other music-related content like countdowns, discussions, things of that sort. Comment down below your thoughts on this EP. Thanks for watching, guys, and stay golden.